Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. But I wanted to come here today and chat with you and explain to you the reason why my husband and I retired early. And was that a good decision? Did we make the right decision? You will find that out at the end of my video. It's gonna be more than one video. I'm probably gonna have a 2 or 3 videos series about retiring early, the consequences, the plus and the minuses. So I'm going to start by explaining to you what brought us to the decision to retire so early. And basically, it was around the COVID era. Things for my husband were going so well all the years he worked for the federal government. He had a great job. He was a director for the IT department for a federal agency. He was making great money, and he had a great boss. Well, then his boss left, and a new boss came, and his life became miserable. So he had a couple of years right before we retired that he was stressed every day. He was miserable. I never seen him so upset about a job. His job was changing, and his boss was um, a pretty mean person. And when you work somewhere that you loved all those years, and then something like that changes, it makes your job really miserable and impossible. Anyway, so that was one of the factors that made us started to talk about retiring early. But I was 59. I was working. I had a company that provided hair and makeup for special events. I had a wonderful team of 7 girls that worked with me. We traveled all over the place, Baltimore. We traveled to Virginia. We traveled to DC. We did weddings, lots of weddings, and we provided services for the bride and the bridesmaids. We provided services for birthdays, engagement parties, all kinds of things. We had a blast. It was a lot of fun, and I was only 59, so I wasn't going to, I wasn't thinking about retiring really. But my husband was very stressed, and also during that period, we had disputes with my family, our kids, and our grandkids, and people weren't talking to us at the time. Everybody was mad at us. I don't remember exactly why they were mad at us, but they were. And between my husband's stress and the disputes that we had with our family, we decided that, you know what, let's do some math. Let's see if it makes sense, and let's see if it's time for us to retire. My husband was very adamant. I was kind of on the edge just because I really did enjoy my job. But I was so bitter about everything else that was going on in our life that I listened to him. So we sat down, we did a little math. It kind of made sense, but we did have to wait at least another year for my husband to qualify for his 20 years service with the federal government so he could collect a pension plus the Social Security at 62. I wasn't going to collect anything, and the kind of job that I had, we didn't, it was my company. I didn't have stocks or, a lot of money saved. I kind of spent, the money that I made, and I didn't have a huge savings. So it was all on my husband to take care of us financially for a long time. So we sat down, we did the math, and we decided that it was going to be okay to retire. And if we were careful with our money, we would be able to make it. Now, we did own 2 homes. We had a residence in Maryland, and then we had bought a vacation home in South Carolina. It was a smaller home, but really cute. We had it built, and originally when we purchased the vacation home, the plan was that someday that was going to become our retirement home. Maryland is a beautiful state. I truly love it, but it's definitely not the state you want to be as a retired person because it's extremely expensive. Housing is outrageous, and everything around you is very expensive. So we wanted to eventually retire in our home in South Carolina. So we sat down, the math made sense, but we also decided that we wanted to leave the country. I was born and raised in Sicily. I still have family there. My parents are deceased, but I do have family. I have brothers and sisters. And we thought that since I lived here all those years with my husband in the USA, now it was my turn to live in Sicily with my family and enjoy them for a little bit. And so we made that decision. We decided that, Sicily could be the place that we would retire. So many factors were also involved in us, in our decision to move to Sicily as a retired couple. One, and the most important thing, is that I was born and raised there, and I wanted to finally spend more time with my family. The other thing we thought, it would be a lot cheaper to live in Sicily rather than live in the States, because when I grew up there, things were very inexpensive. But we were in for a surprise, and I'll tell you about that more later. So those were all the factors that we had thought, let's move to Sicily. I have my family. Things are a lot cheaper. It made sense at that moment when we were sitting down discussing all the different options. That just made the most sense of all. I finally was able to go back and spend time with my family, see Sicily for the first time in years. Well, I had been on vacation, don't get me wrong, but I left when I was young, so I never really, I grew up in Catania, which is the second biggest city in Sicily. But I was young, I was going to school, I lived with my parents. I never really saw Sicily, I just saw Catania and maybe one or two towns near Catania, but that's about it. So, I thought, perfect, this is what we're gonna do. Let's move there. It's gonna be wonderful. So, like I said, I thought moving to Sicily would be cheaper. Well, not so fast. It wasn't cheaper. Things like gasoline for the car, utilities, electricity, gas for the house, for the stove, some household items, they're expensive. Gasoline for the car, it's outrageous. It's like, they sell it by the liter. It's like $3 a liter. Here we complain about buying it by the gallon. It's like three times the price there. So it's very outrageous. Utilities, crazy. They are so high, and people complain all the time. They send you sometimes double the bill, even though it's you don't owe that money. It's complicated. It's just a mess. So it's once we got there, which we did get there, it was not as easy as cheap as we thought it was gonna be. But we did make a decision to move to Sicily. So now we have to prepare. What do we have to do to make this happen? We are in the States. My husband still needs to work. I have a company that I need to sell. What are the steps that we need to do to be able to make this happen? And so we brainstormed and we came up with a plan, step by step, of what needed to be done for us to be able to actually make it happen and make the move to Sicily. I wanted to mention that another factor why we decided that Sicily would be a great place for us to move is that from Sicily, we could travel anywhere in Europe, and it would be just easier than from America to travel to Europe. It would be less expensive. You could go by train, you could go by plane, and that was a perk for us because we did wanted to travel as a retired couple. So being in Sicily would allow us to do that. Also, like I said before, I was young when I left Sicily, so I wanted to see more of the region where I was born, and I wanted to visit all the towns. Sicily is a beautiful region in Italy. I wanted to see all of that. I wanted to see all the different towns like Taormina. I wanted to go to Palermo. I wanted to go to Noto. Beautiful towns that if any of you have traveled, you will realize, how beautiful Sicily is. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things that I don't like about Sicily, but the towns are beautiful, and there's a lot of history there. So going to Sicily, being able to see Sicily, being able to travel from there as our base and go, to different regions of Italy and also in Europe. It was a win-win for us. The decision was made. We were going to do it. Let's see what we need to do to move to Sicily.